No.
I'll save it.
Just say it now. Or forever hold
I don't want to listen to the 46 minute. Stop putting shit in the podcast I have to listen to. I don't want to listen to it. That's the point. I drove to Delaware to teach you how to edit. Why? Because I don't want to listen to a soccer podcast. Stop forcing me to listen to this. They sent me a video file. It was 2 hours and 10 minutes long. I don't want to do that.
Wait, I have a question.
Well, there's your question.
Did
Welcome to the show.
Three.
But I'm telling people not to listen to a show on the network.
Welcome back to All Sorts of Sports.
I'm not singing. Fuck you.
What episode is this?
Oh, then they had an argument on the soccer pad about what episode. Is it episode 3? Is it episode 4?
And then he's like, if we're wrong, KDot's going to say it right here. And then
no shit. Because one of us does our fucking job and puts it together correctly. God damn it.
We love when you're angry, man.
Yeah, you know what?
All right.
Keep pushing that button. See what fuck happens.
What episode is this?
75. Keep track.
Okay. 75. The Howie Long episode.
Just put it on the top of your list.
The Howie Long episode.
He was 75?
Yeah.
Fucking blockhead looking motherfucker. Goddamn Minecraft character. I like Howie.
He is good.
He's good.
All right. So we're going to start off with some serious news. We kind of got wind of this before, but it was reported incorrectly. But now it's official. Biz Markie passed away. Believe he was 57 years old, so before 60. One of the GOATs, man. Like, you guys want to say anything about it?
I'm just sad to hear, man. Sorry for like the people he was actually close to. They got to see him, you know, and be around him. From what I've heard, he was just a joy to be around. I think KDot has said something to the fact that he was like super nice when he's met him. And so I'm just, you know, condolences, sending positive energy to, you know, his family, friends, loved ones.
Yeah, I mean, I hate like coming on here and like a couple of the times we've done the RIPs, it's like people I've known on the periphery, or it's been people I've met a couple times, and it feels kind of selfish to talk about that aspect of it. But I will say that Biz, I met him a handful of times, and every time he was just the biggest joy to be around. And you could see he would turn it on. It's like, you know, everybody has like that resting face, not necessarily resting bitch face, but it's just like the resting face. You're just going about your daily life. And the moment that he would see you or see somebody that want to interact with him, the smile would appear, and he's there just kind of in his element. And it was always just cool to see. He was always in and around DC a lot. Like even when he was in the hospital up here in Baltimore, it was just always something you'd be around. I remember me and my friends, we used to go through this period of time where we would say how we will always be cracking Biz Markie jokes, because it was anytime you even see him as you're driving and he'd be walking down the street, you always knew it was him. And it was because he had a gaggle of dudes around and they were always laughing and shit. And it was just like, he was just the coolest dude. Like he's a legend. I was looking on Instagram earlier. Q-Tip had his, he released a phone call to him and Biz were able to just freestyling on the phone with each other, which is just great. It's just, Biz was that dude. He was just so full of life. And more than maybe any other rapper, without being a parody of himself, he could poke fun at himself. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people take themselves too seriously. He didn't do that. And it was always kind of dope.
Cool. All right. Let's send some more positive energy to the next topic. Some stuff happened with Richard Sherman like on this week, like on Tuesday, maybe.
Just like I say, yeah.
Yeah. So he got involved in a car accident, and then he ended up going to his in-laws' house trying to break in. Reports are saying he was trying to sober up. But then police was called, and he was resisting arrest. They sicked the canine on him, bit his leg. Now he's in jail, or he just got out on bond, right?
Yeah, he's out.
Yeah. So he got out on bond. After this story came out, it was reported that he's been struggling with mental health for the past couple months. Even to the like the effect of him having friends come in to try to like talk to him and try to help him out. But yeah, what did you guys think?
And just in addition, also what happened just to what you were saying, James, his wife called 911 when Richard was trying to basically, she said he was being aggressive. He'd gotten into a fight with her uncle. Or something to that effect. And he was trying to leave the premises. She tried to lock the gate before, some of this had happened. And so I just wanted to add that information in there too. Basically, how I felt about it, I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. I just want him to get the help he needs. And his Twitter response basically said something to the effect that he wants to get the help that he needs. And so I'm not really gonna speculate or anything because I think that's more harmful than anything in situations like these. And so I just really hope he gets the help he needs, and I hope I'm just sending nothing but positive energy to that situation, that entire situation, because it's not just him, it's his wife, kids, her family was involved, and I know that create a toxic situation for people who are married, when two people who are, if you're fighting the in-laws, that's not good. Right. So again, just sending positive energy, and I hope he gets the help he needs.
Yeah, I mean, basically echoing those same sentiments. Not a whole lot of speculative talk with what happened and everything. I will say, and a lot of times it can be uncomfortable, but I think in one of these situations, it was I don't know if it was cool to see because the whole situation is unfortunate, but when you have certain things that happen to certain athletes and everyone goes either with the racial element or they think worst case scenario and they start speculating on these crazy ass scenarios, the most thing that I saw were people saying, hey, this seems really weird for Richard Sherman, seems kind of out of character, and they gave him the benefit of the doubt. When you see even the King County Police, which I don't know, once again, not sure exactly what happened, but you hear them in the press conference saying, no, he's a pillar of the community, great guy, we love this dude, this, that. Whether or not they were saving face off of something that maybe they did, I don't know. But it was nice to hear all the positive things about Richard as things were coming out. That to me was, it wasn't everybody quick to throw him under the bus unless you had this fringe right-wing group that was talking about all kinds of shit with the NFL and fuck those kind of people. My takeaway, other than I hope he gets the help that he needs, and maybe sometimes it takes situations like this for people to then also seek the help that they need to seek because they can see how shit can go so terribly wrong if you don't. That 911 dispatcher.
Yeah.
I know that you're supposed to have a sort of semblance of not getting emotionally involved. The same thing that people criticize ER doctors for not having great bedside manner, when in order to be able to go home, you got to keep some sort of separation of your human being. Otherwise you'd fold. Mm-hmm. That wasn't that. That chick was just fucking rude. She was just bad. I don't see any situation in which in training or anything, you need to have that sort of mentality or talking to people in that way. There's one thing to gain control or get someone to calm down, but the way that she was talking to her, I mean, to me, I can't tell who anybody races over the phone, but not for sure. But I can kind of tell a little bit that this is would sound like some white chick that was frustrated to want this black woman or a woman of color to basically capitulate to her what it is that she wanted to do. Regardless, I would never want this 911 dispatcher ever taking a phone call for anybody in any sort of emergency situation again. And I hope something gets done about that.
I hope she gets better training. That was my first thought. Like, hey, I don't know, like, like Alicia, my girlfriend, was just saying, like, we listened to it like yesterday, like again, just to play it back, and she was just saying that, yeah, like in training, I would just go back to this entire conversation and be like, yeah, we don't do this, we don't do this here, we don't do this, and we don't do this, and here's what you should have done, XYZ. And I just hope like that's available. I hope she gets that, because I think a lot of times in a lot of situations where one person of one shade is involved with another person in another shade, and it could end in a bad situation. There's not been enough training involved and correct training. And I just think that I hope they do that.
Yeah, I think you're being nice. She needs to get fired, because to me, it was beyond training. It was just the level of decorum that you need to have to deal with another human being. I feel like she lacks it.
Yeah, and like think about all the other calls that person has taken, and how like situations probably could have been avoided if it wasn't her that answered the phone.
I was also the kind of the leading question she was sort of asking, in a sense of almost trying to get her to say that Richard was be a danger, to be able to tell the cops to, hey, this is what you're going to have to respond to, and to try to almost rile her up in trying to get some sort of reasoning to tell the cops and stuff. Like, there was just, to me, there were so many ways in which I give Richard Sherman's wife a lot of credit for holding her cool and still maintain to tell her certain things in a proper way, instead of just trying to get it out there like I think the dispatcher was trying to get from her, where it could have been a situation we had cops, guns drawn, trying to go find this guy, because it was almost like she was trying to pull it out of her. Oh, is he being dangerous? What kind of, a physical thing is different than a fight. Like, is he dangerous? Like, and I'm like, yo, there's gray area. Like, chill the fuck out. Like, I understand you want to prep the cops for what it is they get into, but I mean, we know the climate nowadays. To me, it just seemed like somebody who has no wherewithal on how it is that you're supposed to treat another human being, like at all.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So, Keem, this topic is mainly for you, because I know this has been on your heart.
It hasn't. It really hasn't. Like, it really hasn't. Like, I've seen it on Twitter a bunch. Like, I've seen it, and we're talking about Lamar Jackson playing like football with kids. He was wide receiver, cornerback, quarterback. He did a little bit of everything with the kids. And there's been some outpour of the talking heads that come from the old guard. And have certain opinions on certain things when it comes to certain people. And so they've said things and things that I've ignored, to be honest with you. And so, like, I just think to some degree, there is like, hey man, be safe, blah, blah, blah. You don't want to like injure yourself. But there's also like, man, he's trying to do a good thing for the community. He's just trying to, do stuff for kids that was maybe never done for him. And I applaud that. I think Lamar's a great character. He has great character. He's a great leader. That's what I can speak to. He's a good humanitarian. And I think I love Lamar. Ravens fan or not, like, he's everything. He's the leader that Cleveland Browns thought they were getting. That's all I got for you.
Didn't he shout out Donald Trump as Big Trust on Twitter?
He didn't shout him. He just said Big Trust. He didn't shout him out. We don't have to do that. We don't have to do that. We don't have to do the crabs in the barrel thing. It's okay.
Like, hold on.
We don't have to do that.
KDot, aren't you in Baltimore, sir?
Yeah, I am. I feel like I'm gonna get shot up in my fucking house right now that I said anything critical about Lamar. But,
yeah.
So I mean, I don't like, this is not a story that I knew too much about. Like, I don't know if I just haven't been plugged in as much this week. It's been a Marvel heavy week for me, over other things. It's I don't know. The idea that I have is that Lamar's heart is in the right place, right? Like, this is different than, we've talked about it even on the podcast previously, when Josh Norman was caught in the offseason running with the Bulls and trying to jump over bulls and shit, where it's, you're not helping anyone, sir. You're just doing something really stupid in your off time, which is going to put yourself at risk when it comes to your contract to lessen your teammates down. when it comes to like when Ben Roethlisberger's riding motorcycles, when it comes to Tom Brady jumping off the cliff in the offseason. These are all things where I think you do open yourself up to a round of criticism. If it goes wrong, like your heart could have been wherever it needs to be, you're going to get criticized for it, and I think rightfully so, if you're not taking care of yourself in the offseason to make sure that you're there in the season. That being said, you can contextualize everything. He's not just doing this to get his jollies off. He's trying to really help people and kids in the city. So you got to kind of put it in perspective. But once again, if something happened and he got hurt in the process of this, and let's say it was a season-ending injury, God forbid, he's going to deserve some blame, a lot of blame. And I think he would take it and accept it. I hope that it would never come to that. And I think, once again, his heart's in the right place. But I don't know. If I'm in his position, do I do the exact same thing? I don't know. I think that I would be one of those people that is extremely cautious in the offseason. Just until my career is over, then I'd probably go off the deep end like a fucking Catholic schoolgirl going to college. Like, it's just, I'd be fucking wilding out. But I don't know, because, I don't know, if somebody's paying me tens of millions of dollars, I'm going to do everything I can to kind of protect them.
The tackle from the Broncos, I think it was this offseason, was working out. I think he, like, partially tore his Achilles or ACL or something. Mm-hmm. And then the Broncos cut him. And yeah, but he was working out. Like,
picked up by the Ravens.
Oh, y'all picked him up?
I believe that's the same one. I believe that's the same one.
Okay. He's filing the grievance against the Broncos.
Bro, if I'm an athlete in the NFL, I'm not touching a fucking dumbbell or anything unless it's in the facility. Like, I'm not doing, like, that's the other part of it. Is that
it was closed because of COVID, though.
Get it? And so, like, what you're doing as far as outside of that, if we have a situation where COVID's, it's the same that happened last year with a lot of these guys that decided, I'm not working out. Shit, who was it? Luka that didn't have access to anything in the off season of the basketball season? Was it Luka? It was one of the Eastern European guys.
He was stuck over there.
He was stuck over there and had like no. Right, and he's just like, well, I'm playing video games. I'm just gonna eat right, but I'll play video games until I can get back in the facility. And I think that's sort of where I would be, is that like I separate, especially with knowing how contracts in the NFL work, and they will look for any way in which if you're not gonna be able to produce, they don't want to pay you to do that and to do it within the scope of the contract. The same way that if I had somebody come to me and say, well, he should have been working out during the offseason. Look, bitch, they didn't have a facility open. And if a dumbbell fucking falls on my foot outside of here, what happens to my contract? So fuck off. Like, I think you can carry that same energy either way. There's the job and what pertains to the job compared to what it is you're putting yourself at risk outside of it.
All right. So when he left when he was working out off-site, that was at the recommendation of the NFLPA. Just want to add that in there. So,
yeah. And then he got fucked.
And he opted out the year before. Like,
he'll probably win that grievance too. There's a good chance he probably wins that.
Yeah, I mean, he has a better shot than Antonio Brown getting money from us. So,
and Antonio got paid.
Not from the Patriots.
I know, because the Patriots are a good ran organization.
Nah, they didn't want to pay him either.
But they had legal grounds to stand on.
Huh? He played more games for the Patriots than he did for the Raiders.
Yeah.
What? No, he did play more for them than he did for us. He didn't play
and y'all owed him.
No, we didn't pay him anything.
I thought y'all did. I thought y'all ended up I thought y'all had to cut out something.
I don't think so. I think all his money came from the Patriots.
Nah, I think that's incorrect, but all right, we'll see.
Yeah.
I don't want to look it up right now.
I'll check later.
I think it's that important.
All right. So going from one weird situation to another. If you would have like ever brought this up to me a month ago, I would have said, nah, he's never leaving. Like, it's no chance whatsoever. He's one of the guys who's going to stay where he is. Like, he's going to be one of the last, like, one team players.
Yeah.
It's come out this week that Damian Lillard is going to be requesting a trade soon.
It was rumored. And then Dame shut it down and said, not true.
or did he say like, did he like not say like 100% is not true, or
he said not true, and he was just basically like, I'm good where he was like, he didn't say I'm good where I'm at now. He was like, I want basically some changes. He said this is not a championship team.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, head coach might be able to, change some things, but this is not a championship caliber team. He was like, if you look at it, which to be honest, I love Dame for this. I love him for this, because it's like, if you do look at it, and that's my thing, I don't care who the coach is right now. It's not a championship team.
yeah,
CJ McCollum is your second best player. That's not a championship team. That's not a championship team if you send him to LA and he's your second best player. Not a championship team. There's no champion. I don't think there's a team that if CJ McCollum is your second best player, that you're a championship team right now. I can't think of one. You send him to Philly. Oh, okay, you got a chance, but you're not the favorite. You're not the favorite. Like, oh, you might get by. If you get, if you like a season like this where people aren't healthy. Hey, you can get by, but you're not by a championship team. I mean, you're not a top 3, top 4 favorite.
they wouldn't be. No.
So
Here's
CJ with Ben and Joel. Okay.
but Ben is the second best player, right?
Right. So yeah,
Right.
that word that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Right. So Dame said, I haven't made any firm decision on what my future will be.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm not sure what I'm going to do.
I think what Dame is doing is trying to put pressure on them to like, hey, give me some help. Give me some help. Like, I think he's doing what Kobe did in 07, when it was like, hey, yo, I know you just saw me average 35 a game and I'm going crazy, but Smush Parker is still here. Kwame Brown is still here. Like, I don't know what you want from me. And like, he started looking at teams. He was almost setting a trade to the Pistons, actually.
Yep. He also said, I think if you look at our team as it is going into next season, I don't see how you can say this is a championship team.
It's not.
It just needs a new coach.
Yes,
So,
exactly. And I read
we lost to a team in the first round that was hurt.
if you guys read the Yahoo story, the Q&A that came out, and he talked about, he was like, in the past when he was younger, he would just internalize, look at himself and see how he can get better and be like, okay, I need to get better so we can be better. Mm-hmm. Which I love that mentality. I do. Don't get me wrong. But now he said, like, as you get older, if you keep doing the same stuff, you're going to end up in the same places. And so now as you get older, he's like, now he's pointing the finger at everybody and to make sure that they're looking at themselves the way he does and saying, like, are we doing enough on our end to make sure this is a good team? Like he said from everybody. He said from the worst player to the best player, coaching staff, front office, all that. And I agree. That's how it should be. But I think the bigger question is this too little too late for Dame? Because, I mean, this is probably a little bit different. You got a little bit more leverage if you did it maybe a couple years ago when that contract was about to be up. And you know what I'm saying? Now your Dame just turned 31 on Thursday. I'm just asking, is it a little bit too late?
Are there any one or two pieces that you think could go to Portland to make them a contender? Like if Kawhi in Portland.
Yes. Kawhi in Portland. Oh, yeah.
Right. So, I think that, to me, I give him a lot of credit when you see how players that are unhappy with certain situations, depending on where the contract is or whatever, doing it in all these weird shenanigan ways. The Aaron Rodgers deal and him trying to get out of Green Bay is just weird. Even what you said as far as the Kobe thing. Huh?
Breaking news.
What?
Wes Unseld is now, or Wes Unseld Jr. is the Wizards head coach.
All right, I'll talk on that briefly after. But the Dame is basically giving the press conference that a GM would usually give after the season's over. I'm saying all the right things. I'm not saying anything that's true, not true. I'm not throwing anybody under the bus. I'm basically saying what it is you're supposed to do season after season. Evaluate the roster, say we didn't get this far, we need to do better, and we need to evaluate everything and everyone on the team. That's what he's saying. But he's saying it in a way in which you don't usually hear players say it, at least not with the kind of weight that he does. Usually they try to go another route, or you have it was the Kobe comparison you gave. I actually think Kobe compared to Damon, like maybe what it is they wanted as far as the goals the same, which I think most of them are. They just want a winning team, but or they get paid. But the way that Kobe handled it in that playoff series and everything else before it always ended was a lot more childish and bullshit than it is what Dame is doing right now, which is just being upfront. It's like, hey, this is the deal. We need to evaluate this roster. And if you're somebody in Portland, you're looking at it, then you know without him on the team, it's a full rebuild. And like there's not with Damian Lillard on the team, we've never the closest we've had is CJ being there as a second fiddle, right? But what do we need to do to get a star to come here to play with them? Is it Kawhi? Is it KP and hoping for the best? What is it that you need to do to have something in which, because I mean that's the thing is like even when we're talking about the playoffs, the reason I always pick Dame in one series and I know him himself could win a series, but beyond that it's over. And I think that that's what it has been year in and year out for the last 7 fucking years. So
even before that, you remember Brandon Roy?
Shit, man. There's some of those Portland teams.
Portland's had so many misses, man. They could have had
it's
Jordan.
Sad.
Aldridge. They could have had KD. Like, you could have had KD and Brandon Roy. Like, fam, can you imagine?
Even the Greg Oden years where it was just fucking injuries and shit. Like, it was just rough.
Same with Brandon Roy.
Right. It's just Portland's just had some shit. Like, the Pacific Northwest is just not okay for basketball, I guess.
Shit.
Huh?
Seattle.
They don't have a team anymore.
They had Clyde, and Clyde didn't win the championship till he went to Houston.
Fuck, to see the old pictures of KD in that fucking Supersonics jersey and being like, yeah, I'm going to go do things elsewhere. It's just like, shit, I still watch Sean Kemp fucking highlights all the goddamn time. Like, it was one of my favorite players to watch. But I don't know, man. It's Dame. No championship is happening in the status quo. Everyone knows it. Dame has the balls to say it, even though it shouldn't take that many balls to say it. He's just being honest. And I don't see anybody throwing him under the bus because of it. Because he's not being clever. He's not being coy. He's saying, like, yo, this is what it is.
Yeah. So,
it was,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, it was reported that he's going to meet with the GM and Chauncey. Is it today or tomorrow? Something like that. But he's supposed to meet with them soon to discuss that. That's all I was going to say.
That's going to be important because I do actually think afterwards Dame's not going to be the type to gloss over it if he feels as though that meeting was horseshit. Or this is just a placate meeting. And this is just to keep people calm meeting. Like, he's going to come out of there and you're going to see him either double down on something needs to happen or he might get extra quiet and usually he's out.
Outside of Ben Simmons, though, who is available that can make them, like, that you think would vault them into the, I say top 6. I'm going to say top 6.
But if they get Ben Simmons, there's no way they get Ben Simmons without trading Dame.
No, you could trade CJ and
CJ and a fuck ton of the future.
Yeah, CJ and picks will get Ben.
I mean, then you'll end up being in the same position that Kawhi is with Paul George. With the Clippers. They mortgage the future.
I'm not gonna let that rock.
Mortgage the future.
We saw what PG did in the playoffs.
No. I'm not saying that Paul George is bad. I'm saying the fact that they mortgage the future. The Clippers traded 5 first-round picks for Paul George.
I mean, yeah, but like teams rarely. You're not going to hit on every pick. It's like, I get it. Like, the draft is like super like promising. It's like, oh, so exciting. Like, we might get somebody, but it's the lottery. They're going to be a low pick team, like in the 20s anyway. Like those 5 picks aren't worth shit. Like we'll look. I mean, if it turns out that like they go on a supreme streak and they pick a bunch of, I don't know, Rudy Gobert's and shit in the 20s, like, hey, more power to them. But like, it's rare that ever happens.
It doesn't.
It doesn't. And then like you do mortgage the future for the present because you're living in the present. Like, hey, they might have decided that basketball's terrible and it gets ended to next year.
You can look back through history, unless it was a surefire this next upcoming draft, and I know what the pick is, and it's a 1, 2, or 3, and I know the guy who I'm gonna get. No one ever wins on the side of the team that got the picks. Get the star. Always get the star. It's universal. Just go get your star. I'm like the George Allen school of this, former Washington coach. I will trade every draft pick I will ever have if I know I'm trading for something that I at least know what I'm getting. There isn't a guessing game to it. I can plan and plot for talent that I know, that I see, that it's tangible. It might not be the greatest thing, but at least I'm like, I can build a team with these pieces and figure it out. It's basically fucking Moneyball, right? Like you look at it, at least you know what the commodity it is you're getting instead of this crapshoot, which is what it is. A fucking crapshoot. There's nothing guaranteed in a draft. We like to think, yeah, I mean, the only thing, and that's not even guaranteed, like the generational talent that's one or two. But if you look at that, like over the years, how many of them have been can't misses? Like really looking back at like number one, number two, like, all right, I have a can't miss prospect. Those are really rare. Really, really, really rare.
Luka didn't get picked number 2.
No, I'm actually saying, like, look back. It might be LeBron. Like, like looking back at a dude that's a true can't miss prospect. Like everybody else is kind of, oh, we'll see. Like there's no that, or at least there have been guys that get drafted and maybe they overall have become something, but there was a little bit of doubt at some point. Like that's to me has always been the thing, is that I'll never think the draft picks are always that, especially for a team that you know is going to be that 7th or 8th seed. They're always going to be in the middle. They're never going to have the generational talent that they can pick up number 1 or number 2.
Mark Cuban always said he'd rather be trash than in the middle of the standings. If you're not going to be great and like fight for a championship or like a playoff push and all that other shit, like that's the worst. Like the worst place to be is in the middle.
Last year, Mike Tomlin, when Washington played Pittsburgh, turned to Chase Young and said, "I don't ever want to be bad enough that we could get a guy like you. I never want to lose as many games as it takes to get a guy like you." And that's what it is. It's like, yeah, you got to really suck to get a generational guy, and then you got to hope and pray that all the pieces work out properly for him to actually pan out compared to the proven commodity. So, like, if I'm Portland...
It's not proven. Like, I also want to say, like, all right, number one, in terms of, like, you got to worry about the salary cap too, right? You can't just trade all your future away for, like, everybody in your team. Like, that just doesn't work. You can't do it.
It depends where you're at. Like, if I'm Steve Ballmer and I know that I could pay a luxury tax, that's got the fucking money like that, and if I'm looking at it as an investment in the sense of, hey, if I do this, then there is going to be a return on investment that, like, I'm going to make more over than the luxury tag will ever get me into if I win a championship. Mortgage it. Mortgage everything.
Yeah. But the other part of it is you'll be in the situation where the Clippers can find themselves in now, because they traded 5 first-rounders for Paul George, and Kawhi could end up leaving this offseason, right?
Well, that goes back, but that goes back to the Clippers as far as proven commodities. What was proven? You didn't have a number 1.
No.
You had a bunch of Robins. That's what was proven commodity. You didn't get a number 1. If they had done that and also got Chris Paul, we're looking at the Clippers in the championship, probably on their way to a finals.
What do you mean?
I'm saying that you didn't do enough. Like, there is a proven commodity aspect of it, but they have a ceiling. The Clippers team had a ceiling. Even if Kawhi didn't get hurt, they had a ceiling to me. Is that Paul George shows flashes of being the guy, but he only does that when Kawhi's not on the court, when Kawhi's not around the team. Is when he gets to be his corny ass self and get some of the young bucks to believe in what it is he's saying, compared to Kawhi rolling his eyes and being off in the corner, kind of downplaying any of the leadership aspect of things. Or when Kawhi, in his leadership ability, is to be in the zone, quiet guy, leave me the fuck alone so I can play ball. There's a cap. If they, like I said, if they had done everything they did and had a veteran point guard, like a Chris Paul or somebody who is then yeah, I'm like, Steve Ballmer, do that. Get your championship, and then you can be a salary cap hell for the next decade. Why? Because you got yours.
All right. I do want to add something else to Keem's point. So, let's see. Anthony Simmons, who's also in Portland, he was picked 24th in 2018. That's Luka's year. Like Shamet, Wagner, people, Robert Williams III. Jalen Brunson was picked 33rd. Devontae Graham was picked 34th. Mitchell Robinson.
Second round.
Yep. Gary Trent.
Second round.
All right.
You can find gold in the second round if you know what you're doing.
Kevin Huter. First round.
First round, 18th overall, right?
19th.
19th.
Lonnie Walker, the fourth.
23rd.
He was 18th. 23rd was Aaron Holiday. Grayson Allen was 21st.
Role player.
Michael Porter Jr. was 14th.
Yeah, but he should have been fucking 7th. I was watching that. I was like, man, I don't know how the fuck people are just like letting him fall that far. I'm a fan, but go ahead.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like you can get pretty solid players like in the
right.
So,
right. But to your point though, how many name one of those that's gonna change a franchise real quick? That's gonna turn you.
I would say the same about PG.
I mean, he's okay. PG's not. Now we're getting into numbers because now we're going to talk about the amount of people that can actually change a franchise given generational players. And that's like a handful and less than. It's like maybe up to 10 at the most, but not that many people can change a franchise. So if you got a chance to trade or sign a guy who can change your franchise, you do it. Who gives a fuck about the Clippers historically? Like historically, they've been ass. Just in the recent years, since about 2013, 2012, they've been relevant. They had Chris Paul and Blake Griffin. It was like, oh, okay, cool. Like they're competitive. And everybody thought the year that Steph ended up winning the championship, that was Clippers' year. That was supposed to be their year. It's like nobody else was really a threat. Spurs have gotten a little bit older. They're not ready. Bron's on Cleveland. It's like, oh, okay, maybe Cleveland is going to win it all. But the West, it was supposed to be the Clippers. It was supposed to be the Clippers. I remember that. And it wasn't. and it wasn't. And it hasn't been yet. And so if you're ever gonna be on the Lakers level, and I think that's what a lot of Clippers fans and like even their organization kind of look at, like, okay, we want to be on that level. We're in LA too. We want to be a free agent destination, all that good stuff. Then hey, what are you gonna do? You're gonna do what the Lakers would have done. You go for the star every time. And they did, and it was the right decision. Just hasn't worked out.
I mean, I just always thought that they were still a piece or two from a culture standpoint in that locker room, which could change things. I will always go back to that the Clippers team to me is missing a true leader in the locker room. They don't have somebody, and I think maybe this playoff series, you've seen some of these guys, the Terrence Mann's other guys that might have sort of the mentality that's needed, but I don't know for sure.
I don't think they need a leader. I think they need, like to your point though, what you were saying earlier, a floor general. So I think, and no, I'll ask the question to you, KDot. They signed Lonzo Ball in free agency. Is he the piece? Good defensive player, smart, 3-and-D guy, smart, floor general. Is he the piece? Because to Pat Bell's credit, he's good, but he's just really more so for defense unless you're running into the god Luka.
To me, I'm looking for energy. I think he's close. I don't know if it's it. But the Clippers to me are just weird in that way because I that's all I always look back to is like I look at Kawhi's teams that he's been on. He wasn't the leader in Toronto. He wasn't a leader in San Antonio. Even if it was guys that was subpar him talent wise, they didn't go to them. They didn't go to him for energy. In fucking Toronto, you could go to Kyle Lowry. It was his team more than anybody's. Or Fred VanVleet at sometimes in the playoffs was like the electricity he carried through some of those games. Or Pascal Siakam, like through some of these games where you could just see how much fun they were having. Kawhi just is not infectious in that way. Even in San Antonio, I think it's outlawed for you to be kind of carry yourself in that way where there is no person like that. You're just kind of a piece of a cog in the machine. with the Clippers, you heard the stories that came out about Paul George after in the bubble, when he was trying to give pump up speeches or here's what we're going to do next year to the guys in the locker room. They're basically like, Paul, shut the fuck up. Like, literally just shut the fuck up. And Kawhi will never be the guy to give that sort of speech. I just think it's, to me, when you look at a lot of the teams in the playoffs, you can kind of tell the ones that are having fun, the ones that are playing off a certain energy. It's what Phoenix had. I'm sure we'll talk about them briefly at some point. What Phoenix had all the way up until fairly recently with Chris Paul's struggles. You could just see the way that they were rocking through the playoffs. It's like momentum is just going, right? Or Miami, even in the bubble Miami, them youngins were just out there fucking balling. And they ran into just a thoroughly more talented team, and actually a team that was having more fun than they were. Like, it's just, I look at that Clippers roster, I'm like, who's the lightning rod? I thought Chris Paul was perfect for that team. I thought he was perfect for this team. As far as being the guy that can be the leader, being the guy that can be the lightning rod, and also what he does on the court. I don't know if Paul George in this playoff run has changed that mentality, so maybe Alonzo does work. I can try to talk myself into it working.
When Chris Paul had inevitably injured his shoulder in the playoffs, and then they were just Kawhi and PG, then they're just the team that they are now.
I think Chris Paul in that locker room changes something.
That's fair. Okay, that's fair.
Chris Paul's not going back to the Clippers.
You keep saying that. I think that Chris Paul.
I mean, it's over now.
It's over there. It's done. It's a done deal. But I think with Chris Paul is like looking through everything. And if I'm Chris Paul, unless they're backing up the Brinks truck, I don't know if I go. Because if I'm looking up and I'm like, I like this Devin Booker kid, Ayton could be something. And I got a chance to kind of make my legacy be these kind of guys.
Well, this is their chance because they're not getting back next year.
They're not.
Phoenix?
Yeah. They won't be back in the next 2 years, next 3.
Yeah, this is their one shot.
Yeah.
Why? Are we transitioning to final talk? Because I want to know why y'all think about that.
No, because the fact that all the other teams are coming back healthier next year.
I just think from literally just a talent perspective, if healthy, the Suns are maybe 4th in the West Coast as far as talent level is concerned. You got 37-year-old Chris Paul at that point. Booker will be better. Ayton will be better. I think those two will be so much better coming off. If they win a championship, they'll be a lot better. They'll have that championship confidence. So I'll give you that. And then they've got a couple – I like the Cam Johnson kid. I like Mikal Bridges. Those are good players. But I still think there are other teams with more talent. I think, again, Clippers, fully healthy, they have more talent. Fully healthy. Who?
Denver
as well. Fully healthy. They have more talent. I'm not gonna give them Utah. I'll put Phoenix over Utah. I say that's 4-5 right there. Phoenix 4, Utah 5.
Warriors
is my 3. Warriors is my 3, and Lakers potentially. But I would even tell you that the Lakers and Phoenix are going to be a little bit more even than we think.
That's fair.
I don't know. I think Booker gets better. I think Ayton gets better. I like the Cam. They got 2 Cams. I like them.
Yeah, Campaign
and Cam. I like both of them. I think that's a team that's getting, because I'm not even looking at Chris Paul being on that squad next year. That's not even something I'm really thinking about. I'm thinking about him off that team, where it is that the ascension of Devin Booker means to. Because if I'm looking across the West, if Booker plays the level at which he's been playing, and he gets better, he's one of the best players in the West. And like, to me, a lot of it is contingent on what Ayton's progression is doing, which I think Ayton's the key piece to it. And I like what I'm seeing from Ayton overall. Although right now in these playoffs is kind of a make or break, because Milwaukee's doing what they can to break Ayton, which is to get him in foul trouble with Giannis down low. Thank you, God damn it, Coach Bud. I've been telling you this for how long? And to get Ayton kind of feeling like, all right, what am I supposed to do? Or what am I supposed to be here? And it's kind of running into, all right, kid, you got to figure it out now. So I think that's a huge thing. But if I look at LA, LeBron's not getting younger.
Nope.
He's going to start declining. And AD is not a champion of health.
So would you say that Booker's a top 5 talent in the West?
Okay, no. And I just want to interject real quick with that, because a friend and I did our tier list recently and our rankings. We did I did like through 30. And the difference between Donovan Mitchell and Devin Booker isn't vast. It's like they're like right here. Okay. It's like they're literally right here, but Booker's slightly better, in my opinion. And so, and then when we're talking about talent, again, this is why I said they'd be right there with Utah. To KDot's point, Chris Paul getting older, you know what I'm saying? Chris Paul getting older, and then now it's really between Devin Booker and Ayton and Donovan Mitchell and Gobert. And despite Gobert's warts, he's technically right now better than DeAndre Ayton. And so, and again, to K-Dot's point, which I agree with, it depends on Ayton's development. What do you become? Who are you going to be? Like, if like you're not even I'm not going to say not even, you're not like a Gobert where you're just like you're a great floor raiser because you're so good defensively. You're not that. But like he could be better than Gobert, in my opinion. But it just depends on what he does.
Yeah. I think this
not defensively. No, not defensively. Just as a player in general.
As a player, because Gobert's overrated. The overall,
he's still better defensively.
He is.
No, fuck that. When Mike Conley's on the floor.
No, when he has a competent coach to,
look, it's just Ayton to me. This series, I like the way it's matching up for his progression. He's going to learn a lot in these finals right now. And I think that it could go one of a few ways, but I got faith in that. I think Phoenix is ascending. Jokic still makes no sense. He just shouldn't exist. Lucas, great. I don't know, man. You also Golden State. Look, as much as Golden State is like, all right, everybody's coming back. That's also a team that's never been healthy in the last 4 years. So I'm just like, I don't know if it's bad luck. I think it's more luck than anything else. But
when they're healthy, like
here's
they haven't been healthy with the new crop of players they have. But like, when's
the last time we seen Golden State purely healthy?
Mm-hmm. But I mean, they got Wiseman this year as well. So
I get it. But when's the last time we seen Golden State purely healthy?
A couple of years.
It's been, I think it's 3 now. And like, even though it's bad luck and like not all those guys are still there.
3 years.
Draymond's
postseason in 2 seasons. Draymond's
older. I get that he's choosing not to shoot and just play defense, but that doesn't stay. Father Time meets up with everybody. Wiseman, look, I get Wiseman. I get, but once again, I like some of the things I've seen from Wiseman. I still don't know if he's a pillar yet. So I'm like, if I'm looking at all these teams, I'm kind of like, Steph, you're getting older. Like all these guys are getting old. We still haven't seen Clay back. I think with the injury with Clay, he could step right back in and do the same game that he used to do. I wonder a little bit about his defensive ability coming back off of this.
I think that was
the main part about Clay, like the fact
his shooting, but his catch and shoot, I think he's fine there. But it's like, if you're not the same defensive player, Draymond's getting older. I don't know if they're a shoe-in. Like, the thing with the West is that I think a lot of what our minds is on the West. Huh?
What do you mean shoe-in? Like,
I don't think Golden State's a shoe-in to say that they're X team. Because I think right now, when it comes to this West, I think you basically eliminate the last 2 years. We don't know what we've seen. I still think the last 2 years have asterisks on it. So if I have the last 2 years have an asterisk and we're starting to get back into the flow, then when I'm using information I got back in 2019, 2018, 2019, and 3 years is a long fucking time.
No, that's not entirely true. I'll say we're using this year and hoping that Clay can be at least I would say a top 30 player. A top 30 player.
If he's a top 30 player, they're in the dance. But
yeah, if he's a top 30 player, they're better than Phoenix to me.
If Kawhi leaves LA and goes to Portland, they keep Dame.
Yep.
What does that do? If with Dallas gets rid of KP and don't have anyone that fills that void, and it's just Luka again, what happens there?
If Golden State trades Wiseman and Draymond for Ben Simmons, what happens then? Like, who?
I get it. I get it.
Like,
right. You're right. You're right. I'm just saying right now with the West, I just think there's so many variables, so many fucking variables. Mm-hmm. The only thing I'm holding on to is ascending young talent. I think that's the only thing I'm holding anything on to is ascending young talent. Like that to me is everything to kind of gauge anything. I'm not looking at anything else. It's like, all right, are you young and you playing at this level? Will you get better? Cool. I'm gonna ride with you. And how many of those guys are on what teams? And that's how I'm kind of choosing how I'm going about it, because I don't know. There's so many other things that kind of changing on the West. I just think everything's really in limbo, which of course it always happens. We're coming up to an off season. I get that.
Yeah.
It just feels a little more uncertain than most. I don't think that anybody that says that they know what's going to happen next year or 2 years from now in the NBA has any fucking really idea. Because I just think there's too many things up in the air.
Okay.
Is Devin Booker a top 5 player in the West?
I've been trying to come up with it in my head, and if he's not, he's right. If he's not, he's right. He's close. He's top 10.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I get it, but top 5. This also goes is like, you remember we had our big debate as far as the ESPN power ranking bullshit.
To bring it up, you said Anthony Davis is the second best player in the league.
Well, this is what we go back to. It's like the what have you done for me lately? Where are you coming off of? And are we projecting towards the future? And like, what have you done right then? Like, if I'm going
top 7, he's not top 7 in the West.
Name your 6.
Steph, AD, Kawhi, Luka, Dame, LeBron,
yeah,
Paul George.
I think Paul's a bigger question.
Donovan Mitchell.
No, Paul is the question. I won't say. See,
Donovan Mitchell.
No, you're right. But that's what I was saying. It's like he's right there. He's right there. I put him in that.
He's right there with Donovan.
I put him with Donovan.
I like him better. I like him more than I like Donovan personally.
You just like literally 5 minutes ago you said that Donovan's a little bit better than Booker.
No, I meant Booker.
You said the opposite.
I said
he
Booker.
said Booker was a little bit better than Donovan.
Slightly better.
But even on that list, right, is that, I'm picking LeBron and I'm picking AD as better players than Devin. Yeah, he absolutely said it. While I'm picking LeBron and AD over Devin right now, do I think that they are trending that way? Do I think LeBron and AD will be healthy enough to play a full season next year where I wouldn't pick Devin over those guys? That to me is where I'm at. Is that of those guys,
more than Devin Booker?
But I get it, but I'm saying of those guys you named ahead, right? How many of those guys are going to play a full season and make it through the finals?
Shit, we don't know who's going to play a full.
Of course, because of that. But I'm saying now age is becoming a factor with some of those guys in that list. It didn't used to be. You used to be just say bad luck. Age becomes a thing, and as you get older as a player, you start getting hurt more. Age has become a factor with some of those guys. AD, it shouldn't be age, but it is something wrong with him in his off-season regimen, in which it's now a fucking factor. I
think to your point though, it will just depends on. I think it depends on partially how the finals ends, and I don't know if you guys know this, but when guys go play for Team USA, they have a great season after. Usually, guys like a Devin Booker, you go play with Team USA, and then next thing you know, you turn in one of your best seasons. And so he's about to do that. Now, is he going to come off a loss in the finals and do that? Or is he going to come off a win, championship confidence, then go win a gold medal and do that? That makes it – those are two different players, I feel like, depending on what happens with that. When I did the list, Devin Booker I had at 18th overall in the league. And the West players right now that are better than him, I think it's clear. But to KDot's point, you do have to factor in age, because the players that are better than him, Steph, again, Kawhi, a healthy Kawhi, and he might not even play next year with that ACL injury. And then you got Bron, and you got Dame, and you got Luka, and you got Jokic, and you got Chris Paul. And then at 8, you got Devin Booker. So that's a fair point. Next year, by the end of the year, he might be a top 5 player in the Western Conference. That's fair.
I'd actually put money on that, because I don't think all those guys are going to be healthy by the end of next year. And other thing,
as of right now,
I agree with Keem. Right now, I agree with Keem. But the other angle, and this, I know this is a topic on your list, but he just said something about it. I don't think USA is winning gold. And I think it's about to be an entirely different dynamic.
Well, let's get into it.
Guys coming back.
That's a transition. Segue that shit then. Let's get into it.
Go ahead. So, USA men's basketball team has been having a bunch of trouble, spanning from like COVID, running rampant, losses. Kevin Love got injured, so now he's out. Who else is out?
Beal is out.
Beal is
just
out.
got pulled.
There
Beal was with somebody else that they
Yeah.
got pulled too.
I forgot who got pulled, but yeah,
Yeah. So
Keldon Johnson
Yeah.
is in.
what was it? Like JaVale McGee? They were talking about
JaVale
putting him
McGee is
on.
in. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, because they definitely needed a center, but like, is Zion on the team?
We went from Brad Beal and Kevin Love to JaVale McGee and Keldon Johnson.
No, he's not.
Who else? Fucking Trae Young was like, yo, I'm available. And then what was it? Isaiah Thomas tweeted, he's like, hey, I'm in Vegas. And then someone quote tweeted the USA men's basketball team saying, hey, enjoy the city.
I feel so bad for Isaiah Thomas, man. Oh man.
So
He was an
bitter.
MVP candidate that one season, and we haven't heard from him since. That's sad because of injuries. That's sad.
Hold on, which Isaiah was it?
The younger one.
Okay. all right.
IT.
That was it could have been old one.
No, it was IT.
Nah, Trae Young used the older ones, like a clip from the interview he did about him not making the dream team. And like Trae Young put that and was like, and then Isaiah Thomas.
All I'm saying is, look, before these exhibition games, Team USA had lost 2 games in the last 30 years. They lost 2 back-to-back. The team is Kevin Love was probably the leader on the team as far as like the dad figure, and now he's gone. Who's the leader on that team?
It's Kevin Durant and Dame. It's Kevin Durant and
KD
Dame.
don't give a shit. Look,
It's KD and Dame. Don't do that. It's KD. And
like, come on.
look, half the time that any of these guys are there is a recruiting mission. Beal's gone. Half the league doesn't care anymore because it was mainly trying to get Beal to join them somewhere. So if you're not recruiting, you can't have sex in the Olympics anymore. Do you see the beds they created? There are beds. They're twin-sized beds. If you move around on it, they fall apart. You can't have
somebody retweeted that and said, "Yeah, imagine Olympic athletes
not
trying
being
to
able
have
to have sex standing up." I get it, but like they're not giving out the same free condom stuff. Like it's just apparently it's just not as fun this Olympics as it ever has been. Whereas like some of these guys go and just flex. Also, there's a lot of NBA talent in a lot of these teams. NBA is like really, really international, and to me, it's like. Not only do you have these teams that's kind of together, but they're not because people are coming and going. You then have some of these guys that when the finals is over, gotta fly over. We're also assuming there's not going to be any other COVID issues, which I don't think. I think there's absolutely going to be more COVID shit that happens. I think it's like guaranteed that there's more COVID shit that happens. Mm-hmm. Like I'm just looking at a situation, a scenario. I'm like, if I'm going to take the field in any other year. It might be this year. It just doesn't feel anything is happening the way it's supposed to happen. It just feels like it's not a team. I love KD. I love Dame. But I could see them being the leader of certain men. I don't know if this crop is anybody that they really want to lead.
I think if you're a leader, you will lead, and it doesn't really matter if you're built like that. And I think I can't speak to KD, but I think Dame is a guy who can lead anybody. I think he's a guy that anybody will follow.
Dame has never had to do it.
What do you mean?
At least these not these type of personalities. We just talked about in Portland who do you have? With KD, every time he's kind of been around other stars in this sort of way, he's a lead by example guy, but he also what could you say KD was the absolute leader in Oklahoma City when you had Russ was standing next to him?
Everybody thought Russ was the leader, to be fair.
When he went to Golden State, was he the leader there?
Steph was the leader. Steph and Draymond. He goes to Brooklyn. Can you even say that Brooklyn has a leader?
It will be KD.
It would be, but can you really say that he's the leader of that team?
I mean, they had 1 year, so I'm not gonna.
Which is what I'm saying. So like, it's no knock against KD. I'm just saying, I've never seen it. Like, it's just with this type of guys. Like, the reason I say Kevin Love is that Kevin Love's been around all kinds of level of stars. He's always had this certain air about him that people have kind of gone to, they respect. He's been around. They talk to. He has this sort of mentality and this aura about him throughout the league that he carries himself a certain way. That's why he can say stuff about his mental health issues, everything else, and nobody says anything. Like, it's just that's Kevin Love being Kevin Love. I still feel terrible that they left his ass there in Cleveland by himself. But it's like, even when LeBron and everybody was rocking there, Kevin was a leadership component of that team, regardless of any story you hear out of Cleveland.
I don't know. He couldn't lead shit in Cleveland.
I'm literally listening. I'm watching a series right now on Secret Base about the entire history of the Cleveland Cavaliers fucking franchise. They just had it's really, really interesting. It's extremely interesting. This is the reason that they've only done this once with one franchise, and it's like going through the entire history of Cleveland. Right now, it's the LeBron episode, but it's all around Kyrie's shot, and they're basically breaking down each one of the players and what it is they meant to the organization throughout all this. I'll tell you right now, Kevin Love, when it comes to the locker room aspect, he did some things that I don't think a lot of people knew that he was necessarily doing. I think that the dynamics changed dramatically for that team when they had all three of those guys there at the same time.
Kevin Love was not the leader of the.
Yeah, but he's not a good leader because he quit on the Cavs literally this season. Like, he quit on them. He quit on them
during a game.
There's footages.
Footages. He's like, oh, you know what? You're on another team. Here's the ball.
And so I think Kevin Love is a guy that you want to have to add a certain level of flavor or whatever, or a little who'll help in one area. He's your
consigliere, which is unique sometimes. He's like, you guys know mafia movies. He's the second guy.
About like the leader of the team, not the glue guy.
He's the third guy, not the second guy. He's the third guy.
I'd say he's the second. I say he's the second. But there's the thing with that is that you need him working in conjunction with somebody else who can be the guy. So even when LeBron came back to Cleveland, he didn't try to be the rah-rah-rah, I'm the leader guy, because he was trying to respect Kyrie having that to a certain degree. So he didn't carry himself the same way he did, the way he does right now in LA, or the same way he did in Cleveland the first time he was around, and the same way he carried himself in Miami. Huh?
You saw how that worked out.
It worked out, and what Kyrie basically had to apologize for not being grown up enough.
Egos between them two.
I don't blame Kyrie for that. Number one, I think he was being young and immature. But I also understand, if you're Kyrie's point, like, this is what I mean, my team. Like, I walk into the shadow of this fucking giant god. It's supposed to be this. Like, we've been getting better. Now, hey, oh shit, Andrew Wiggins. Oh, we're getting rid of everybody. Kevin Love's coming, and it's not your team anymore. It's like, hold on, what? Like, there's a certain element of that. And not to mention, I hit the biggest shot maybe in the history of the NBA. Kyrie's shot is one of the greatest shots ever in the history of the NBA. That's what I'm saying. Okay.
All right. Cool.
Do you disagree with that?
I'm just glad you cleared it up. Like, you made it seem like it was the best shot ever.
No, but it's up there. Shit. Game 7, you come back, you hit that shot. It's up there. It is up there.
Robert Horry got some shit to say to you. But Keem, you brought this up a little while earlier.
Yeah. Talking
about how Kawhi had surgery. So it came out that he had a partially torn ACL. He had surgery to fix it. And then it also came out the fact that Kawhi did not let the Clippers know until after they did the surgery. Or it's saying like, hey, like, we got to release that we had surgery on Kawhi's ACL. That right there kind of brings up the same situation that happened with him in San Antonio, if you remember.
Yeah.
He didn't trust the medical staff of the Spurs, sat out, then ended up getting traded to Toronto. Right now, I mean, if you don't tell the team, like they're saying that the Clippers doctors misdiagnosed him again. And he's like, all right, I can't fuck with y'all. I had surgery on my torn ACL, partially torn ACL. After that, I'm getting the fuck out of there.
I want to know more about this. Like, I want a doc or like some further like into what are these misdiagnoses that are happening? Because he said they happened in San Antonio. He said they happened with the Clippers. Is it a misdiagnosis, or are you not understanding? Are you not listening? Is there a loss, like a break in communication? Because I just really want to know, because I believe that you being misdiagnosed can be a problem. Hey, you got trust issues, maybe that could be a
Triple
thing. It's a thing. It's a thing. Doctors can hold you. It's a thing that can happen. I get that. But I don't know enough about the situation to know, like, hey, yeah, Kawhi should definitely not be trusting these doctors, or he definitely should.
You saw how it was reported, right?
Yeah.
They were like, he had a knee sprain, and it's like, oh, he might come back the next game. It's like, no, this fucker has a partially torn ACL.
That's true too.
And that's true too. Then you out for like at least 12 months.
That's true too.
There was no lawsuit or anybody lost anything with the San Antonio deal, right?
No, he's like, I'm not fucking with you. But it
was the same thing.
It was a tear in his quad.
But you still have guys that played for that San Antonio team that still are very firm with the organization, with the front office, and saying
we had lesser players like Tony Parker saying like, oh, my injury was way worse and I'm back.
So there is an element in which it kind of goes back to, and you're right, Keem, we need more information before we start assuming anything. So allow me to assume that what he does is just not communicate shit. You know how what Joe Budden, the Rory Maul thing, when Joe was trying to throw Maul under the bus and he was saying how Maul seems like the cat, or Maul was the guy that kept his laundry detergent in his room.
Yeah.
And look, as a person that's also lived with some selfish motherfuckers, I've done the same thing. But at least I'm obnoxious about it. I will tell you, hey, broke fuck who doesn't contribute to the house, my laundry detergent's in my room. Like, at least I'll communicate it. Whereas Kawhi does seem like the kind of guy who doesn't say anything to anyone about anything. He comes in, does his job, turns around, goes home. He goes, sees his own doctors, has his own crew, own people that he's comfortable with. And if they're saying anything different than what the team is, he decides he's going to roll with this. I mean, shit, I've never seen a player that's so just on his own ever. I mean, even when you're looking at when you saw the clips of when the Clippers were still playing and he's kind of by himself up, and even the commentators making fun, wow, Kawhi's up there losing his mind. And he's just by himself, just sort of in this. He's being Kawhi. Just a weird motherfucker, man. I mean,
the injury's way worse.
I just think an introvert to the max.
That's why you should go to Dallas.
For what? Can you imagine Kawhi and Mark Cuban in the same room? Do you know how uncomfortable Kawhi would be?
Nah.
I just think Mark's too big a personality for that. I just think Kawhi would just.
What is the difference between Mark and Steve Ballmer? Like, what are you talking about?
Ballmer probably just knows enough to say, hey, I'm going to cut the checks. I'm going to leave that man alone. I think Mark would be the type to say, I can get through to him. I can get through to him. I can get through to this guy. I think Mark taking it upon himself to try to be friends with Kawhi.
No, I mean, that's what you got Nico for. Everybody in the NBA loves Nico.
Don't nobody know Kawhi enough to know whether or not they love him or not. That's what I'm saying. He won't let anybody in. Let us in, Kawhi.
Well, his players, his teammates say that he's a lot different from how he's perceived. Like they say, he's
read his lips on some of the shit that he says on the court. That should be funny.
Did you ever watch, when Serge Ibaka made him eat penis?
Yeah.
Like he's a fun guy.
Does he call it now, fun guy?
Kawhi is part of this tribe of just weirdos in sports. It's the same way. Like, RG3 is a fucking weirdo. Completely different weirdo than Kawhi is, but he's just a weirdo.
I was about to say, yeah, that's two different extremes.
It's totally different.
I feel like Kawhi just seen too much shit to like.
I think Kawhi wants to do his job, win, get paid nicely for it, and then go be around his people.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. He's just not.
You just call him weird for it.
It's weird when there's a certain mentality that most people look towards when it comes to you being an athlete. Like there's a certain locker room mentality, a certain on-court mentality, there's a certain kind of being in the trenches with your guys sort of thing.
We're kind of getting in the weeds here. We don't need to go into all him being a weirdo. How's this going to affect the NBA next year? Because to what we were talking about earlier, if he misses, because apparently the recovery time, which I read, I don't know if it's wrong, but the recovery time for a partially torn ACL is the same as it is for a torn ACL. And it's the same.
You got to do the whole thing.
9 to 12 months. And so 9 to 12 months from now is April. April is 9. April's 9. Like that's where we're like.
So
He's coming back in the playoffs.
that goes
Like,
back to like the stuff that he was talking about before all this shit happened, where he was discussing his like prospects of the future, and he's like, yeah, if I'm healthy, of course I'm gonna opt out. Like that's just smart business. Even though he's not healthy, he would still get the same kind of bag, in my opinion.
he will.
So I feel like
He will.
he's still gonna opt out.
But do you think? Well, no, the Clippers are going to pay him because they have to. Because Steve Ballmer he wants
if
to
he
win,
stays,
and
he's still gonna
that's
get
shot.
paid.
Can I throw a theoretical out?
Okay.
Or hypothetical? If you're Dame and you get told that we're gonna get Kawhi's coming, but he's only gonna be here for the playoff push next year, and he's coming off the ACL, is that enough for you to stay?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh,
But Dame's not.
Even.
Huh?
Is it a trade or free agency?
If he
It's
opts out,
got to be a sign and trade. It's got to be a sign and trade because Portland doesn't have room.
well,
They have to
that would be it.
offload. They have to offload Nurkic and I think another contract.
So
but
if they offload and you see Dame, you're like, look, you're gonna have to make it to the playoffs by yourself.
No, I think CJ could stay in that scenario. If CJ stays, they have enough to make the.
You think they got enough to make it?
7.
And Dame,
They'll squeak into the playoffs maybe, but the problem with that is Kawhi's not gonna come back. Not next year. We talking about Kawhi, fam. He gonna be like, I don't know, my G. Like, I think.
Can you imagine?
I think that my knee's still hurting, and I'm a fun guy, and I think that I'm gonna just play in.
That's what I'm at. That's the part that I was asking. If you're Dame, do you stay? Because you know all those shenanigans are coming.
Yeah,
I mean, do you believe in yourself though? Which he has proven that he does his whole career. So
yeah. But I mean, he also is at a particular point in time where he's like, I'm kind of sick of doing this shit.
Dame, they better get Dame Ben Simmons. That's about the best available player they can get Dame right now. And
that's true.
They better get Dame Ben Simmons. Is all I got for him.
Yeah, I mean, but I'd rather see Dame in Dallas.
Of course you would, but let's go ahead and segue into that. Ben Simmons.
Yeah, they're finally open to trading him.
I got no comment on the segment.
Okay. So I would like to see Ben Simmons get traded to either Golden State or Dallas or Portland. That's my opinion. All of those teams have pieces that can make it work in some way, shape, or fashion. And I think those are great fits for him. I think with Golden State, they kind of have to trade Draymond too, because they're kind of the same player, but Ben Simmons is slightly better than Draymond.
They're not going to trade Draymond, man.
They probably won't. They should. And like you just have like if you could put 4 shooters and Ben Simmons out on the floor, I think you do it. And if 2 of the shooters are Steph and Clay, I think you do it. But that's just my opinion. Because then you've got if you're telling me that Steph Curry is the best off-ball player to ever play the game, and Ben Simmons is Magic Johnson light, and he doesn't have to worry about actually shooting, and he's not crowding the paint with a Joel Embiid type, then hey, I'm telling you, I'm doing that all day. But that's just me. Same thing with Portland. Hey, now you got Dame, another floor. I don't know. They'll need another piece. But you got Dame, an all-star. First all-star he's played with since LaMarcus Aldridge, and they'll be better defensively, but not as good offensively. And then you send them to Dallas, and hey,
Yeah,
Luka. So sad.
That's a funny.
I think the issue actually is that they have to get rid of THJ.
Yeah, I know. Well,
that's the
Tim Hardaway Jr. is a free agent, like a restricted free agent, I believe. So we'll see.
But I think they'd have to renounce him to make that trade.
Yeah.
So
I much rather get Dame.
I understand.
Yeah,
I understand.
Just send Dame and for KP.
I really don't think Dame and Luka will work, but
Why?
I just don't. I don't think their play styles work together.
How not?
I think they
They're
both
the
have
same
ball in their
player.
hands. I don't know who capitulates. I don't think Luka has it in him to capitulate, and I think Dame would spend a year trying to figure it out.
That's fair.
No.
They're the same player though. Like they're very similar in play style.
Huh?
They're very similar in play style.
All right. I'll say this. Dame plays with CJ, who also runs point sometimes. It's interchangeable.
Yeah, but
not
he's an
interchangeable.
off ball.
Offense.
He's an off ball guard though. He's an off guard.
He runs the offense, right? And Dame can do like Dame and Luka could be the same type of shit. It's just Luka's way better than CJ.
I
And
think
Luka
it's
can run the
a
point.
better
Dame can run the point.
a better
Dame can be a spot-up
comparison.
shooter at some points.
I think a better comparison for what they would be is like a AI and Carmelo, what they were with Denver, and they didn't win anything. But that's a better comparison.
Completely different.
No, yeah, and no. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Carmelo and Luka are different, but as far as like play style,
Melo's a better shooter, but Dame does everything. I mean, but Luka does everything else better than Melo.
I just don't think Luke is able to work without the ball in his hands.
No, he does because I see what happens when we bring in Brunson and Brunson like when Brunson's running the point.
No, I'm gonna rock with KDot on that. I think it's not okay. It's not that he's bad. It's not that he's bad, but Dallas has always been best when the ball is in his hands, and I think you can say the same about Portland. And obviously, obviously for the most part, except for maybe Steph, it's so like
imagine when they're both on the court together.
I think this is like an NBA Live or NBA. Yeah, I'm gonna go NBA Live and not 2K because the inferior product fantasy. As far as what it is you think about having these two guys on the court, I'm telling you, I really do think there is going to be something to be said. You heard it here first. There's going to come a situation where people are going to wonder whether or not you can play with Luka. I think he's too ball dominant. I really do. I think that now that being said, he hasn't had anybody that he can necessarily play second fiddle. They can play second fiddle. So I don't know. So
actually, no. It's LeBron and Kyrie 2.0.
Fair.
It's LeBron and Kyrie.
I like that comparison more.
It's
than
LeBron
anything else is coming up.
Better comparison.
If it works, that's what it is. If it works, that's what it is.
Because LeBron and Luka have the same play style.
Hold on, who are you treating as who in this?
I said LeBron and Luka have the same.
LeBron and Luka, Dame is Kyrie, but Dame is also better than Kyrie.
Yeah, Kyrie just has better handles.
And if they put Luka in a pick and roll and Dame is in the corner, you're not going to leave the corner because it's Dame, and it can be dangerous. Or if you put Luka and Dame in the pick
and Dame could run the pick and roll themselves.
I don't know, man. I think Luka's a little more stubborn than we give him credit for. Okay, like I might be wrong. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
If you start hearing that narrative, just remember you heard it here first.
No, that's not. No,
this is not the first time I'm saying it. I've been saying it forever. So we've been doing this pod. I've been saying this about Luka.
I've seen it before, just based on the whole shit with KP the first time when people didn't know that KP is KP. So it's not the first like I've ever heard of it, but I still think it's bullshit. But yeah, if we end up getting Dame for KP, that somehow works. Kawhi sees that shit. He's like, all right, I'm opting out, going to Dallas. I'll see y'all in the playoffs. Boom. Dame and Luka is enough to get us to the playoffs, and then Kawhi is enough for us to win that shit.
Okay, so I just want to say this. This isn't my final thought, but it could be. So I love your pipe dreaming. You know, it makes me smile. It brings joy to my face.
I'm still high. It's okay.
But it's never like it's not realistic pipe dreaming, I don't think. But I'll say that with this. I think within the next, I'm probably gonna regret this, 2 to 4 years, Luka wins a championship.
I mean, it just depends on what the front office puts around him. Like this,
no, it doesn't.
Big.
No. It's not. It won't be just that. Well, yeah, that's always the thing. Of course, it depends on who they put around him. But think about it. 2 to 4 years. Whose league is it? It's Luka's league. Bron is 36. KD's 32 now, 33. And he'll be 33 next year. Steph is 32 now. He'll be 33 next year. It's all the gods are aging, and Hercules has got to beat Zeus at some point.
Yeah, but then there's also a bunch of other, there's a bunch of others that are coming up too. Like,
who?
I'm not gonna discount
real quick, name them.
Trae Young.
Okay.
Donovan Mitchell. Devin
Not
Booker.
a threat. Not okay.
Who's not a threat?
Donovan Mitchell.
Devin Booker.
Yeah, Devin
I'll
Booker.
give you Devin Booker.
Jason Tatum.
Where does Giannis fit?
Giannis is there too.
Giannis, I'll give you.
And if Giannis wins a championship, I think it's his league.
No.
Yeah.
Like you just said, it's a fluke year, right?
It's still a fluke year, but he's still Look, if they learn from this and he plays in the paint, it's his league.
Who's the head coach of that team?
Some cocksucker. I gotta give him credit.
Did you not just give him credit for making one change, and you think that he's gonna do?
No, hold on. We haven't done a pod. I'm giving him credit for this entire playoff. I actually think that Bud has done what I didn't think he was capable of doing, and is actually adjusting really well. I will give credit where credit's due. I was wrong going into these playoffs. I didn't think he was capable of it. I really didn't. I also think Chris Paul's helped him out a lot, but it's.
I just want to say,
who else is on that list? Ayton, maybe. No, I'm joking.
No.
Anthony Edwards.
Not for me.
No.
Not for me.
Over who? Over who again?
Tatum.
I already said Tatum.
I gave you Tatum.
Yeah. Wait, you said who's the people that Luka?
Yeah, who are the up and comers? Who are the up and comers?
Oh, John Morant, Anthony Edwards, like you said.
But Minnesota is 2 years away from being 2 years away. So they're not. That's what I mean. I said, next 2 to 4 years, who's going to be a threat? It's not going to be fucking Minnesota. Go ahead.
I still think it's a league where you don't win by yourself.
No, it is for sure. But I just wanted to point out that Luka is better than everybody you just named except for Giannis. Doesn't really matter. It's going to be his league. If he can get him a good Batman, he's Superman.
And when the narrative comes out that there is no Batman, there's no second fiddle that can play with him because he wants the ball too goddamn much. And that's the narrative that comes out is that Dallas can't win a championship with Luka playing like Iverson. That's going to be what the deal.
I mean, we won with Dirk, so we can win.
Dirk's a different thing.
Dirk is a power forward. So
yes, and that team, look, there's still a good chance we will never ever see that again. Okay, what Dirk did in Dallas was lightning in a bottle, and the way that team and everything was structured, and the way they got through that, we might never see it again. He's a full-blown exception.
We had shooters, and Dirk was doing goat shit. All right. So final thoughts, guys. Who wants to go first?
You got it, KDot. Because I don't want to bite out. I know you're going to say a lot, and I don't want to reiterate what you're going to say. And because I can change my final thought if I have to.
As much as I talk, I'm already reiterating what you said before you say it. So, Marvel at Marvel.
No spoilers, please.
Oh, fuck you. Earmuffs. No, I'm joking. So,
no, I really think you should mute it. I think you should mute it and let me.
Shit, I can't speak about what I want to speak about.
I mean, because other people who watch it may not.
No, you are by yourself, sir. There's no one else.
Yeah. It's just you. Because they can pause it at this point.
James, if you mute yourself, it doesn't do anything.
Just put up a fucking hand when I can listen again. All right.
Okay. Because this is for me and KDot. Go ahead.
All right. I'm gonna start with Black Widow. Black Widow film. I did not go to the theater to see it. I stayed at home. I paid the $30 on premiere. I had to get mad high opening night, and I just paid for it so that I committed myself to it. Because if I thought about it more than 15 minutes, I would have never done it. And I enjoyed it. It didn't make me fully regret paying $30 for the movie. This is a movie that should have came out 5 years ago, easily. It didn't change anything. I think it was a lot of unless you had just watched Civil War, you're really caught up on stuff. It's kind of even hard to remember when Natasha is at that particular point in time. But I will say that I'm all good about it because we got one thing more than anything because it came out right here, which is the birth of Florence fucking Pugh, who is somebody that I've been talking about for a long time now. Little Women, Fighting with Family, Midsummer. She is the shit. And if she's gonna take over that stanchion for whatever the Black Widow character is or anything out of this particular universe, it's going to be epic in this to see that. I just love it. And David Harbour was amazing. I just think there was a lot of really, really good things. That movie could have missed a lot harder than it did. I wish that they had gotten more into that Winter Soldier bag with the spy stuff more than the big time action stuff mostly. But I was very happy with the way the movie ended up. What do you think about Black Widow?
I completely agree with you, like almost on everything. If it had came out like right after like Civil War, it would have been like even more epic. I do think they tried to heighten the action way too much, like and make it more of a action superhero because okay, so my opinion was it was like a Bourne Identity version of like Marvel movie. And I was like, oh, cool. Like in the first half is like, oh yeah, cool. Then the second half is like, oh nope, we're superheroes. And like we didn't have to go that route. We don't have to have a fucking floating
that did actually bother me. Was that like they could have kept that grounded? It was like, why is it floating? Like that didn't make any sense to me. Like all that entire thing, it didn't have to happen that way. They could have kept it literally grounded, and it would have worked better to get the story out.
I completely agree. They could have made it their version of their like Black Widow's Winter Soldier type thing. Should have been like Atomic Blonde type shit. Because I feel like they had the good family dynamic. It was good jokes, not like super jokey where it's like you don't take it serious in a Guardians of the Galaxy type of way.
Right.
I enjoyed it. I thought Florence Pugh was great. And I wish outside of that, I think it's one of the, despite my criticisms, I think it's one of the better Marvel origin stories.
I'd agree with that. Now on to the best thing, in my opinion, that Marvel has put out it's to me, it's easily the best show they've put out as far as these new shows go. And I'd say that it's in the topper echelon of anything that they put out, period, which is that we got to see the finale of the first season of Loki. And here's what I was telling a friend this, is that unlike a majority of Marvel products, where afterwards you want to see how it is that anything played into the grander story of whatever's happening on this Marvel TV show, is that you basically watch it to tune in because I want to know what's happening with the bigger story, and you can't wait for the next thing to come out for the greater story.
Yeah,
Loki was one of the first things in which, when after the credits rolled and it said Loki will be back for season 2, I just wanted to be back with Loki. I want to be back in the universe. I don't need to know anything else. I just want to be back with these guys. I want to be back in this universe. I want to be back in this world. Yeah, of course, they did a great job as far as how it is that this show plays into the grander scheme of the Marvel universe without having to play too much lip service or just feel like it's a commercial for another movie. But I just wanted to be back with these characters again. I didn't want to just turn it off or just, hey, oh, well, post-credit scene. What does this mean? What does that mean? What does this mean? No, it's these characters were interesting enough on their own, and the stories were strong enough on their own that it just carried. And of course, the thing, spoiler alert, our big reveal at the end, Jonathan Majors fucking crushed it. He fucking crushed it.
This is a long final thought, man.
Active.
Yeah, just do your thing. We're
go ahead.
Pod now.
King, go ahead.
Okay, and so I just piggybacking literally off of that point, the Conqueror is fucking here, and I'm so super excited. I just want to say I love how they introduced him. Loki isn't my favorite show. I don't think it's the best show. I thought it was WandaVision, but I'll say Loki had the best finale, and I think people are like, oh yeah, best show. For me, it had a couple episodes where I was like, okay, this is cool, but I don't really need that. I think, and maybe because WandaVision was 30 minutes, it kind of played out better as far as pacing. But the Loki finale was kind of what I was looking for with Black Widow, a little bit more intimate, and it wasn't like really action heavy. It was just talking. Like when you go back, I rewatched it, and it's just talking really, and that's just good fucking writing.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for Phase 4 and everything Marvel's gonna do with Phase 4. They have a lot like coming. I'm excited for now. We got Doctor Strange 2, we got Spider-Man 3, and that's all coming within the next like 9 months, basically 9-10 months, and I'm so excited. I like what they're doing with the shows. Not every show has to be like going to get a season 2. WandaVision, perfect one-off limited series.
And
love that. I don't need it again. Cool, great. Okay, we're gonna Captain America, not necessarily going to be another show. It's going to lead into the movie. Perfect. Love that. Loki season 2. Give me season 2. I'm just really excited to see what they do with Secret Invasion. I'm excited for the What If series.
What If looks good.
It's going to be fun. Secret Invasion is coming. Hawkeye's coming. Florence Pugh is going to be in Hawkeye.
Yes.
Man, Marvel is fucking killing it with Phase 4. I was worried, to be honest, with the way Endgame ended, because that's just such a big action piece and a big set, and it just has so many emotions. You worry how they're going to continue and keep it riding, and I think they'll be just fine. That's my final thought.
Agreed.
All right. So my final thought. I don't know if you can really see this.
We can't really see that.
You see it?
I can see it.
Cool.
Is that pink with the white?
Yep. That's PSG's new away kit.
I like that.
PSG has had the best kits the past couple years, and I'm very jealous.
Gonna have to get me some shoes for that.
Yeah, kid's fucking sick. That was my final thought. I just saw it while I was not listening to y'all.
Okay.
So.
Cool.
Yeah, get caught up.
Please.
Yeah, this weekend.
Do that. Matter of fact, start right now.
No, I gotta finish my weekend.
Are you watching Black Widow?
I already saw it.
You saw Black Widow.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember much of it because I was fucked up.
You didn't see Black Widow. Got it.
I did. Like,
no, you didn't.
I played for it and I watched it.
You didn't see Black Widow.
You didn't see it.
I don't know. If you tell me what happened, I'll remember.
Okay.
All right. Well, great episode, guys.
Long episode.
Yeah. You guys' final thoughts took fucking 20 minutes.
It was 10.
Actually, I want to do an unequal opinion. I want me and Keem to actually debate whether or not Loki or WandaVision was a better show.
Well, who says WandaVision was better?
Me?
You out your damn mind.
Not really.
Hey, you know what? Stop this
I don't
shit.
think it's crazy. I don't think it's a crazy thought. I don't think it's a crazy thought at all, but I actually think that it could be a fun debate.
Nah, because, I mean, no.
It's not worthy of a full
Unless the
episode.
last couple of episodes of Loki is trash, there's no way.
Are you missing 2 episodes of Loki?
The first few episodes was horrible.
Are you missing 2 episodes of Loki?
More than 2.
Yo, fuck out of here, man. All right, let's end this episode.
Wait, how many episodes is it?
6. What are you
all right. I'm on halfway through 4. So
how could you even make the judgment on the WandaVision thing?
That's why I said if the last couple episodes are trash, then okay. But that's not what I've been hearing from everybody. It's like, oh, Loki's amazing. So the ending must have been good too.
Just watch the show.
You gotta finish it. Just watch it. Yeah.
Even still, WandaVision first couple episodes just horrible.
No, they weren't.
No, they weren't. They were really good, actually.
They were bad.
I think we're all in agreement the Falcon and the Winter Soldier was the weakest of the 3.
It was. The first couple episodes. Well, the first episode was good. Then 2 after that was like, it ended great, in my opinion. It ended not great. It ended well.
Carly Morgenthau's character they ruined. I don't know how they didn't flesh it out more or have us spend more time with her, because there was something really interesting there. There's a lot of stuff about, and some of the race stuff was just, hey, let's beat you over the head with it. Like the cops are gonna pull up to you in Baltimore with it. It's like
I hated that.
Right after you leave Isaiah's house. Like,
it was super heavy-handed.
All right, well, Dallas is never winning a championship. If you didn't know, now you know, because I told you.
They did win.
Like Super Short Show?
Like they did win. What are you talking about?
Never again. I'll dub it.
Are you talking about the Cowboys?
No, I was talking about the Mavericks. Hell, I'll do it again. The Mavericks will never win a championship with Luka. If you didn't know, now you know, because I told you.